For those of you that watch our channel, I want you guys to put in the comments below whether or not she should join me in Jiu Jitsu.
No.
She says that she doesn't want to do Jiu Jitsu because people get sweaty. And she doesn't want other people's sweat being on her. She's like,
just thinking about it, it's.
But I tell her, when she's in the middle of rolling, she's not. That's the last thing she's gonna be thinking about.
No, I'm gonna be like, ew, your sweat, spit, drool, gross.
No. Well, we're not drooling on each other. That's a little odd.
You have to put your.
I don't know what I don't know what jiu-jitsu school you're thinking about.
Well, you know, the boys do jiu-jitsu and they put their mouth guards on, and oftentimes, I mean, they're really grilling on them teeth, and I get the protection that they need to have with the mouth guard, but sometimes that, like, it could slip out, or that drool is just gonna. I think it's gross. It's gross, and that's what I think about when I think about going to the mat and doing jiu-jitsu. Like, I just think about, like, them, as I'm fighting for my life, them like, just drooling, right? I just, gross.
It's like vampires, they be trying to bite your neck.
Yeah.
When they say protect your neck, it's not because they have vampires, because they're gonna put you in a chokehold. So no, she's eventually gonna go. I'm gonna win that battle. She will eventually go, but she's just got to get over her fear.
I don't mind training with you. I mean, whatever you learn at jiu-jitsu, bring it home.
No.
And I'll train there.
Because I'm not a good teacher.
I mean, eventually the kids are gonna be, in a couple years, they're gonna be the same height as I am. I'm gonna be training with them.
Look, just because you're 4'11" doesn't mean you go to the kids' class. Okay.
I'd love to go to the kids' class.
So, yeah, so she'll eventually go. We'll win her over.
Yeah.
Put in the comments below. Yes, for those of you that are watching, put in the comments when you think that she'll go. Do you think it's going to be in January or in November or December? So it's going to be
when Leonard gets old enough to go to the bigger class, so that I can roll with him on the mat.
Yeah, they won't have you rolling with him on the mat, Claudia. So, I mean, in our school, the school I go to, Excel Jiu-Jitsu, they have a good diverse group of people. They have women, they have men, and they have all different types of sizes. So, I think I'm one of the smaller people in the class, and I think I'm like 160 pounds soaking wet. So, and that's cool for me. I get to learn. I'm constantly getting smashed in class because you got people that know more than what I do, or they know more than me, and they are also bigger than me. So I got two things going against me, but it helps me learn. So that's for those of you that are in jiu-jitsu or something that's a martial arts that's active and physical. That's just that's what you learn. You learn better by experience and by getting smashed and learning what not to do. And eventually you start to develop your own way of training and rolling, and then you start developing an offensive. And I'm saying this not because of this is what I think, but this is what people that have been doing it longer have been telling me. So obviously there's wisdom and experience, and people more experienced than me have told me this. So it's cool. Little victories is what I look at. So my last victory last night was I was able to roll 3 times and still had some energy left over. I remember my first class, I rolled once and I was gone. I was gassed. So that's the thing, is you start to learn when to conserve your energy, when to have energy output, learn how to breathe, develop your techniques. So I have a long ways to go, but it's not from what I see, people have been doing it for years and years. It's not something that's learned overnight. It's a lifelong journey, and that's the cool thing about it. And you meet other people that have been doing it. You learn from them. They'll show you something that they put in their repertoire, they show you and help you grow. And that's the community that you bond with. So it's funny though. You'll notice that everybody has kind of like their go-to technique when they're younger in. So it's just the way it is. So yeah, but she'll go.
No.
She will.
I mean, I love the sport.
So now that I'm putting this, I'm gonna put this all on Facebook, and so all of you guys in Excel Jiu Jitsu, you make it a point to encourage her to go. You know, and she just feels grossed out. That's it.
You know, I don't know. It's just, I think it's great. I think the sport is great. I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it.
It's sweat on you. That's it. So she's afraid, not afraid of sweat. She's just,
not my sweat.
Germaphobe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Ugh. Just no.
So yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
No. I can't even.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see. You know what that means? We'll see means it will happen. It will happen. So, just time. It's like in class, right? And those of you who take jiu-jitsu, a lot of times you're just wiggling your way in, right? It's not about rushing in sometimes. It's about just easing your way through. And she's easing up the courage and the
no, because you keep talking it up. You keep saying it, and you keep saying, you should do it, and that's how you get me. Is you talk it up so high about, do this, do that, so good, and blah 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 blah, and then I just try it just so that you can stop talking about it.
And what happens?
I say I like it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yep.
But I don't know that I'm gonna be doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Yep.
We'll
see. She'll go. She may not want to participate in it forever, but it's going a couple times. It's good for women to do because obviously, at least here in America, there's always the perpetrators out there that are trying to cause harm, and it's a tool for protection. So for those of you that obviously want to learn women's self-defense or whatnot, it's a great tool to have to protect yourself. So that's very valid. You just gotta learn it and apply it when it's necessary. So yeah, so that's that on that. So for my people on my sports channel, let's talk about a few things here. I'm obviously here with my wife Claudia. We're on our way to Orlando, and a couple things have happened this past weekend. We had Dominick Reyes, and he won his fight against Chris Weidman, knocked him out within like 2 minutes of round one. Obviously, some people think that Chris Weidman should retire. He's got a weak chin, but that's his choice, right? I mean, everybody can have an opinion, but I think that he should evaluate where he's at in his career and see if it's worth it. Probably talk to people that he trusts that will give him honest opinions and honest feedback. That's the thing is, I think not just in MMA or sports, but in life, you should always have people in your corner that you trust that provide you honest feedback, because they're going to give you an objective view, but from a view of love and concern and trust. So that's what he's got to do. He fought against probably for some people the second best light heavyweight in the world. So I don't know if that was a fair fight. I guess I don't want to say fair fight, but I don't know if there was a fair evaluation of where he's at in his career. He is older, and obviously as you get older, it's harder for you to take in the punishment that MMA has. But But obviously Dominick Reyes is a guy that should fight for the light heavyweight championship coming up soon. John Jones doesn't have a fight, and Dominick Reyes, that fight didn't really do much to him. All right, gotta have some plantain chips. So
I really got them for my mom. Yeah, keep your phone right there because I'm looking.
So again, sorry if I didn't say this earlier. Sorry, we're in a car. I don't really have a good tripod. I'm using my arm to try to keep this stable. So if it's kind of shaky, it's because we're in motion in the car. So Dominick Reyes, obviously he should be the next person up for the light heavyweight bout with John Jones. You know, he's going back. He's talked with Ariel Helwani about, you know, John Jones being scared. You know, John Jones is older too, so he's got some things to think about in his career. He's looking at the heavyweight division as a place to possibly move up to, and I think it's for people that are current champions. I think there's obviously more at stake, but there's more reward for them to go up, because then it provides to their legacy, especially going up to the heavyweight division, which is by far the hardest division to maintain that superiority in. You look at Stipe Miocic, and he's defended the belt 3 times successfully, and then his 4th time defending it, he lost. And so I think the heavyweight division is the hardest division for a champion to defend, because I mean, one punch from a heavyweight can knock somebody out. And you've seen time and time again with other divisions, their champions defend the belt, you know, quite often. So I don't know if I mean, that's my opinion about the heavyweight division. So I think if John Jones were to go in there and be successful, he could potentially be the greatest heavyweight, but right now it stands that Stipe is the greatest heavyweight. So, but I mean, John Jones, for all what it's worth, he has every right to make his own choice of what he wants to do. Dominick Reyes can say what he wants, but he's only fought 12 times. John Jones has been in MMA with the UFC longer than Dominick Reyes has been fighting. I'm not saying I'm a full John Jones supporter, and I'm not saying that I'm against John Jones, right? I'm just stating the facts that he's been in the fight game quite a while, and you know, he's been a champion for a very long time, and so he naturally, you know, he has the right to call his own shots. But I can see where Dominick Reyes is coming. You know, he's been on a hot streak. And he's defended his position as the #1 contender, and I think he's got a right to fight for the title. And if John Jones doesn't want to fight, he wants to wait to move up to heavyweight. I mean, it's just at some point you've got to make that decision, right? And then UFC can, as an organization, can make the decision they want to either strip John Jones and because of inactivity, or have an interim title fight between Dominick Reyes and whoever else they pick for that. So that's something interesting. Brian Ortega and the Korean Zombie are fighting at the end of the year, so that's going to be an exciting fight. What's kind of funny is that this is definitely not a rivalry match per se, where they don't like each other. They actually respect each other very much. Brian Ortega's Jiu Jitsu coach, Henry Gracie, said Korean Zombie is like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. It's going to be a good match, though. It's definitely not going to be a fight where they take it easy on each other. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Obviously, you have the UFC 245 before that, between basically 3 title fights on that. So I'm looking forward to that fight as well. So NFL Sunday came up this past weekend, and we saw that the Patriots obviously are looking like they could potentially be undefeated this year. They do have
the best team.
They do have a couple games this year that are going to be difficult games. One against the Ravens and one against the Chiefs. And they're playing against the Bills too, which is a really good team. I think they're going to win against the Bills. I'd say if they're going to lose one of those 3 games, it's going to be against the Chiefs. That's if Patrick Mahomes comes back. But if all else fails, they're playing Miami, I think, on the last game of the regular season, and there's always a chance they'll lose that game, especially if they've got the conference locked up. Then they may just sit out all their starters for that last game, so they don't risk any injuries to important figures like a la Tom Brady. Yeah, so the Patriots, they look like they could potentially go undefeated. San Francisco, their defense has to play extremely well throughout the rest of the season to go undefeated. Their offense is game management type offense. They're not explosive offense, but their defense is very good. So
60.
Dolphins are still the worst team in the league, but the Bengals are a close second. So Dolphins still look like they're going to get the first pick, but I'm okay because regardless, the quarterbacks that are coming out for this year there's going to be a few to choose from. You got Tua and Joe Burrow. Those are my top 2 quarterbacks to look at. Joe Burrow, if Tua is out for any length of time, he could jump Tua to be the first pick in the NFL draft, just depending on how long Tua is out. But LSU looks like they're going to run the table. I think they're going to beat Alabama. Sorry, Dave Price and Lynn Price. I think LSU's going to take it this year. And then Clemson looks really good. Although Trevor Lawrence does not look as spectacular as he did last year. I think he's got 14 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So it's not horrible, but it's not like his season last year. So
120.
Let's see. We're on our way.
Wait, can I see if you got
40 more minutes left.
Fair. You were in the lead, Leonard.
So we got that going on. LSU's looking like they're gonna take it this year. I think Ohio State is showing that they are a powerhouse. Wisconsin, man, like y'all lost, and this is what the Big Ten does to itself. You have an undefeated team losing to a non-ranked opponent. You can't do that. And then what's going to happen is inevitably Wisconsin's going to probably go against, the Wisconsin's probably going to go against Ohio State and beat Ohio State and cause them not to be able to be in the Final Four for the college football playoff. That's what the Big Ten does to itself. It always shoots itself in the foot. A team loses a game it shouldn't. They're one loss, then they're not going to be ranked as high as they were when they were undefeated. Then they'll beat a team that's the undefeated team, and they won't have an undefeated team come out of that conference. So it happens time and time again. So SEC, they have they can afford to lose a game and still be in the conference. Heck, they can have 2 teams that have 1 loss and still be in the college football playoffs. Big Ten, you can't lose a game. You can't. So Ohio State, you have to win out. Penn State, you have to win out. You cannot lose. Otherwise, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. In the Big 12, I don't foresee any team going from the Big 12. I just don't see it. I think Oklahoma is going to eventually lose. They're probably going to lose in the Big 12 championship. Same way as the Big 10 does, is they're going to lose. And so. And that's what's been going on. Basketball season starting up this year, regular season. Miami Heat looks really good. I think they're going to be a top 4 East Conference team. So I'm calling it. They're going to be a top 4 in the Eastern Conference. I think Tyler Hero is going to be Rookie of the Year. And then Jimmy Butler, that last game that he played, where he played extensive minutes, really shows you what he's capable of doing with the team. I think they're going to gel well.
Daddy, can you open my yogurt?
Yeah, hold on one second, buddy. I think James Johnson's going to come back in shape, ready to grind, and that Heat culture of grinding and wearing teams out is going to be the key to this year's success. So, and Jimmy Butler's right in place. He's a player that wants to work hard. He wants to work harder than everybody else on the court. And I think that is the type of players that the Heat have to get. Tyler Hero, he's got a chip on his shoulder, so he's going to work extremely hard because he's out there to prove that, he might not be the quickest player, or he might not be the flashiest player, and he's going to show what he's capable of on that roster. So it's going to be a pretty good team this year. I think they're going to be reminiscent of what they were a couple years ago when they went, I think, 30-12 at the end of the season and almost made the playoffs. I think if that team would have went to the playoffs, they could have had a deep run just because of the momentum that they had. So the next year, though, they didn't have the momentum. I think some players just kind of relaxed and didn't have that tenacity, that eye of the tiger. So anyways, it's gonna be a good weekend this weekend. Looking forward to more football. My fantasy team finally won. I was on a losing streak, on a skid, and so my team finally bounced back. And the funny thing was, I played Jimmy Garoppolo in my quarterback, and I had Dak Prescott on my bench. And then, of course, Dak decides that he wants to show up this game. I mean, he didn't play spectacular, but he did much better than Jimmy Garoppolo did. So, Golden Tate, I had him on the bench last week, and I did not make that same mistake. And thankfully, I played him because he showed up. I think he had 6 catches for 80 yards, or 80-plus yards, so that helped me out. And then, yeah, I think the weakest point of my fantasy team is tight end. Man, it's hard. Tight end's a hard position to find somebody, because you get a tight end and a lot of them are averaging 7 to 10 points in a PPR league. It's just Rob Gronkowski's not here anymore, so that's tough. But yeah. But my fantasy team, I see them getting some momentum. So Todd Gurley, even though he was it's almost limited, he did well. He got me some good points.
What are you watching?
So, anyways, we'll see you guys next week, at least next week, maybe sooner, and we'll see how my fantasy team does. Maybe I'll go 2 wins in a row. That'd be nice. So, see you guys later.